Hi, Tony DeWitt here, Missouri appellate attorney and a guy who likes to make the law make sense on YouTube. Today we're going to talk about one of the reasons I like being a lawyer. I'll have more on that in just a moment. A lawyer has a number of tools in his toolbox, but among the most important of those tools are words. That's because words mean things, and they have specific meanings. That's why a lot of times, as I have said in previous cases, I've gone all the way to the Supreme Court arguing about the difference between and or. So words have additional power. In addition to just being things you can use in a contract or make things clear with, words have the power to capture imagination. And so today, as sort of a pre-Thanksgiving treat, I want to share with you what I consider to be the very best closing argument that has ever been done in the state of Missouri. Back in the 1860s, right after the Civil War, Charles Burden lived right next door to his brother-in-law, Leonidas Hornsby. And Leonidas had a number of sheep, and he became convinced that dogs were killing his sheep. So what he did was he just made an oath in front of everybody that the next dog he found on his property, he was going to kill. Well, the hapless dog that wound up on Leonidas Hornsby's property was that of his brother-in-law, Charles Burden. And his name was Old Drum. Old Drum wandered down there, and Leonidas Hornsby had his ward, his nephew, shoot the dog. And when Charles Burden found his beloved hunting dog, Old Drum, slain, he knew he had to do something about it. He knew who had done it. And so he hired a lawyer and he sued them. Now, this is a case that would go all the way up to the Missouri Supreme Court, as strange as that may seem. And not because there was a huge amount of money on the line, because you see, even though I personally think of my dogs as people, the law doesn't think of them that way. They think of them as property, no different, for example, than a bicycle. And as a result of that, you're not going to get emotional distress damages for the loss of a dog. Now, in a perfect world, I think you would. The world is far from perfect, because if it was, non-stick cookware would actually be non-stick. So we know it's not a perfect world. Charles Burden hired a lawyer by the name of George Vest to represent him. And the evidence was that the ward had shot the dog. Most of it was circumstantial, based on Hornsby's own statements. But at the end of the day, the jury came back with a verdict for Mr. Burden in the amount of $50. Now, $50 today doesn't sound like all that great amount of money, and you have to wonder how he paid the lawyer. But that's what he got. Now, in today's dollars, that'd be close to $1,200. But in the 1870s, when the verdict was finally affirmed on appeal, it came down to about $50. So I want to read for you the closing argument that George Vest gave in Burden versus Hornsby. And then I'll have a postscript. Picture yourself in a courtroom in Warrensburg, Missouri in 1870. And this is the eulogy that you would have heard for Old Drum. Gentlemen of the jury, the best friend a man has in the world may turn against him and become his enemy. His son or daughter, whom he has reared with loving care, may prove ungrateful. Those who are nearest and dearest to us, those whom we trust with our happiness and with our good name, may become traitors to their faith. The money that a man has, he may lose. It flies away from him, perhaps when he needs it most. A man's reputation may be sacrificed in a moment of ill-considered action. The people who are prone to fall on their knees to do us honor when success is with us may be the first to throw the stone of malice when failure settles its cloud upon our heads. The one absolutely unselfish friend that a man can have in this selfish world, the one that never deserts him, the one that never proves ungrateful or treacherous, is the dog. Gentlemen of the jury, a man's dog stands by him in prosperity and in poverty, in health and in sickness. He will sleep on the cold ground when the wintry winds blow and the snow drives fiercely, if only he can be near his master's side. He will kiss the hand that has no food to offer. He will lick the wounds and sores that come in encounter with the roughness of the world. He guards the sleep of his pauper master as if he were a prince. When all other friends desert, he remains. When riches take wings and reputation falls to pieces, he is as constant in his love as the sun in its journey through the heavens. If fortune drives the master forth an outcast into the world, friendless and homeless, the faithful dog asks no higher privilege than that of accompanying him to guard him against danger, to fight against his enemies. And when the last scene of all comes, and death takes his master in its embrace, and his body is laid in the cold ground, no matter if all other friends pursue their way, there, by his graveside, will the noble dog be found, his head between his paws, and his eyes sad but open, in alert watchfulness, faithful and true, even unto death. In Missouri, that is largely regarded as one of the best closing arguments ever given, and rightly so. It's interesting to note that you would think that a case like this would make people bitter enemies for life, but apparently the brother and brother-in-law pushed aside their differences and lived out the rest of their life in peace together. They are buried only a few yards apart in the Hornsby Cemetery. I hope you enjoyed that presentation of George Vest's eulogy for a dog, closing argument in Burton versus Hornsby. It was an interesting case and one that I think summarizes quite nicely how those of us who love dogs feel about our dogs. This is Ellie. I hope you can see now why I love being a lawyer. I get to reach people with words. Whereas other people, in order to enforce their will, other professions have to resort to violence, like your police officer has to corral a suspect. I get to work with people using my words and to motivate and to encourage and to persuade people with the power of the spoken word or the written word. It is a marvelous profession and one that I truly enjoy. And I hope that today I've given you a glimpse into how powerful those words can be when they are applied, rightly so, in a setting that demands them. Thank you again for watching. This is sort of my Thanksgiving treat to all of you who have subscribed to the channel, and how I can't tell you how much I greatly appreciate all of your contributions here. Thank you very much for watching, and please tell your friends about this channel if you get the chance. Thank you very much, and have a terrific Thanksgiving. May God bless each and every one of you.